So in this video, we're going to take a look at the iPhone 6 Plus versus the iPhone 4. Now, before anybody asks for a boot test, I'm not going to do that because this particular unit is several years old and you would fall asleep waiting for it to boot, because this is running iOS 7.1.2. It is the absolute highest that the hardware can support, and it actually doesn't support it very well. This, on the other hand, the iPhone 6 Plus, is absolutely 100% brand new, so, there you go. One of the things you'll notice immediately is that the iPhone 4 can fit inside of the iPhone 6 Plus. So before we get into the software side, let's take a look at the hardware. As you have just seen, the screens, big difference here. As I said before, the iPhone 4 can fit inside of the 6 Plus. Thickness is actually, in this case it's about the same, but that's only because the iPhone 6 Plus has a case on it. The iPhone 6 Plus without the case would be considerably thinner. It's also a heck of a lot rounder. You can see the difference in design that we have here. The iPhone 6 Plus being, as I said before, a lot rounder, whereas with the iPhone 4, it's considerably more angular. The overall design really hasn't changed much, though. On the left-hand side, we have our volume rocker and our silence switch. We've already seen the front. Obviously here the iPhone 4 didn't have the Touch ID. And on this side, the iPhone 6 Plus, we have our SIM card slot and our power on-off button. And on the iPhone 4, we have nada. It's interesting to note, since Verizon's been using LTE, they've required a SIM card, but a little piece of trivia you might not know about the iPhone 6 Plus, from what I understand, Verizon was required to sell their devices completely unlocked. So, if I'm correct, if I heard correctly, I could go to Europe and pop in a Vodafone SIM or an Orange SIM and be perfectly fine. So again, here's the back, top. You'll notice that there is nothing along the top of the iPhone 6 Plus. That's because the sleep-wake button, which is located on the top right edge of the iPhone 4, has been moved to the right-hand side of the iPhone 6 Plus. You also have your headphone jack on the top of the iPhone 6 Plus. We already saw the left edge. Bottom, you've got the same layout, microphone on the left, speaker on the right. The difference here, headphone jack is on the bottom on the iPhone 6 Plus, and the iPhone 6 Plus utilizes a lightning connector versus the 30-pin dock on the older iPhone 4. So let's go ahead and unlock the device. On the iPhone 6 Plus, all you need, if I can get my hand to cooperate, is the Touch ID. And on the iPhone 4, you need a slide to unlock. And as you can see here, there is a vast difference, again, in the screen size, which leads to a difference in interoperability. Now, I'm not going to bother going over the software because this is running iOS 7.1.2, this is iOS 8.1.2, and aside from the features introduced obviously in iOS 8, they are very, very similar at the core. If you know one, you know the other. However, let me take a moment real quick to show you what it's like to type on each device. So let me open up a blank note. I want to make sure that it is a blank note and that none of my personal notes get revealed. So we're going to type in a new note here. Okay, so I've just typed in, "This girl is so cool." I must stress that it is very different to type on, basically on a video camera. It's very different typing than it is holding the phone up directly, much closer to you and easier to see. But I can tell you that within just 1 or 2 days, it took no time adjusting at all. Now keep in mind that I'm coming from the Galaxy Note 2. So let's do the same thing with the iPhone 4. And again, I want to make sure that none of my personal notes are revealed. So let's open up a new note. And again, let's start typing. Okay, so as you can see, the bigger screen size has lent itself, the bigger screen size has lent itself to a much easier to use keyboard. And also, iOS 7 doesn't have the automatic prediction correction that iOS 8 does. Other than that, overall the devices are fairly similar, but again, you've got things that may take a while to load, but unfortunately I can't really demonstrate that without giving away any of my personal data, which I really don't want to do. Actually, we might be able to do, let me check something. We might be able to go into the App Store. So let's go into the App Store. Okay, so we got the App Store launched. And we'll launch the App Store here on this one. You notice how much different that was. Also, how different the app stores look on the devices. And again, like I said, this is running, iOS 7 versus iOS 8. So let's do a search. I'm going to do a search for, oh boy, what should I search for? How about cut the rope? All right, so I'm going to perform a search here for cut the rope, so let's see what comes back. So that was pretty quick, right? So let's perform the exact same search here on the iPhone 4. So let's see here. Cut the, oops. So I'm not going to bother typing the whole thing out this time, but cut the rope. So let's select that and see what happens. Here we go. So about the same, roughly the same speed there when it came to searching, even though bringing up the App Store took a while. But you'll notice how much different, like I'm swiping up here, on both devices. And you can see how much different the overall experience is. Like, swiping down, I can't even go back. It's because the App Store on the iPhone 4 won't even respond to the up and down gestures, which is, it's weird. It'll respond to the up gesture, but not the down gesture. Whereas the iPhone 6 Plus, you know, oops. So, we got the iPhone 6 Plus and the iPhone 4, so let's turn them into landscape mode. You can see that the iPhone 6 Plus rotates, whereas the iPhone 4 does not, which makes sense because you're dealing with a considerably smaller screen, therefore you wouldn't have the ability to utilize that real estate. So let's again open up our Notes app. And unfortunately, I cannot show you how things look in landscape on the iPhone 6 Plus without giving away information. But if you search a review on YouTube, you'll obviously know. And you can obviously see for yourself. But on the iPhone 4, you'll notice that things just are expanded. And we get a much different kind of keyboard. On the iPhone 6 Plus, you've got a landscape keyboard, but they utilize the extra real estate for various punctuation keys. So you don't get that here on the iPhone 4. The iPhone 4, also, we take a look up here at the top. Let me unlock the iPhone 6 Plus. Look at this, you can't even see the top on the iPhone 6 Plus. But if we take a look here, you will notice that both of the devices are on Wi-Fi. However, if we turned Wi-Fi off, so let me do that on each unit. Let's go ahead and do that. All of a sudden it's becoming difficult. Pardon me a moment. All right. Okay, I finally managed to get Wi-Fi turned off on the iPhone 6 Plus. Now we'll go ahead and turn it to landscape so you guys can at least see. Now obviously the iPhone 6 Plus, you've got your LTE connection. On the iPhone 4, if we switch off Wi-Fi, now I'm surprised about this. It should have shifted over to the 3G network, but I guess because right now, since it's not in service, you know, what are you going to do? So let's go ahead and switch the Wi-Fi back on this. And I do apologize for my mistaps. I am doing this through a video camera, so switch that off. Or switch the Wi-Fi on. Let's see about switching the Wi-Fi back on the 6 Plus. Oh, now it decides to work. And also, another interesting item of note. Take a look at the difference in design here with the control center. You've got pretty much the same controls, but they are designed in such a different way. Also, if you take a look here On the 6 Plus, it takes up about half the screen, but on the iPhone 4, it takes up pretty much the whole screen. So let me switch Wi-Fi back on the 6 Plus. Let's open up the camera. Okay, that's not revealing anything I don't want. What about this one? Okay, that's fine. You can also see the cameras are very similar. The difference comes in the features. So you've got square, panorama, regular photo, you can go to video, slow motion video, and time-lapse photography. Whereas on the 4, your options are considerably more limited. You've just got your photo, square image, and your video. Like I said before, for a more thorough software comparison, I would say look at more into iOS 7 versus iOS 8. This is more of a hardware comparison. But you noticed when it came to loading up the App Store that this was considerably slower than this, which makes sense because if I'm correct, the iPhone 4 has an A4, whereas the iPhone 6 has an A8. You're looking at roughly 3 years of additional research and development. Obviously, you're going to have a better product, but it's interesting to see how these two compare. Would I use the iPhone 4 in my daily life? No. And for a few reasons. Number one, when it was used every day, when I did put iOS 7 on it, it became unbearably slow. In fact, it wasn't until after I got iOS 7 on it that I found that I managed to do some reading, and they said, don't put iOS 7 on there. You know, it's a big mistake if you do, and I didn't want those stocks to come up. Why did that come up? But another thing is the data network. As you noticed earlier when we switched the Wi-Fi off on both devices, the iPhone 6 Plus obviously has Verizon's LTE, and in fact it has voice over LTE, whereas the iPhone 4 has only 3G. Now, what's the difference? Well, for those of you who grew up on dial-up, 3G is like a 56K modem, whereas LTE is like a cable modem. Need I say more? There was one more thing I forgot to point out on the hardware side of things, though. I'm going to lock both of these so that I don't accidentally touch anything else. The antenna lines here, considerably thicker on the iPhone 6. And they have a nice contrast. I like the white on the gold. A lot of people felt that this design just wasn't Apple. I like it. I also like the symmetry of the lines on the iPhone 4. It's actually very, very nice. And also with the cameras, I don't remember the megapixel rating or the resolution on the 4. I know with the 6 Plus it's an 8 megapixel. And a lot of people say that they don't like the way it sticks out. 3 words for you. Optical image stabilization. Need I say more? Excuse me. Whereas with the iPhone 4, I used some applications for magnification with the iPhone 4. The very instant I moved it, everything became fuzzy. Whereas with the iPhone 6 Plus, much superior in photo quality, in software available. It's just a much better product. But it's interesting, again, to see how we've come. How far we've come. So, that is a brief look at the iPhone 4 versus the iPhone 6 Plus. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.